Hi everyone, I'm L Davroe, and today I'm going to be doing a reading from my debut novel, For Your Heart, which is a retelling of the Scottish ballad of Tamron. This novel is an upper young adult paranormal romance with strong contemporary fantasy, magical realism, and new adult crossover appeal. And I'm just going to be reading the back of the book so that you can get an idea of what the book is, one, about, and two, about what the scene is going to be, because this is kind of the pivotal scene that I'm going to be reading for you. So here we go. Experience the Ballad of Tamron like you've never read it before. It's been 7 years since Jeanette Soderheim followed her best friend into Carver Hall Park and came out alone. Jeanette has never gotten over his mysterious disappearance, nor has she gone back into the park. While that traumatic night still haunts her, Jeanette distracts herself by balancing her time between trying to pass Spanish, hanging out with her friends, and reading the latest manga. But when a promise to her friend drives her back into the park, she's forced to relive the memories of that night. Lost and confused, Jeanette crosses paths with Tamron, whose violent reaction to her provides yet another reason to avoid the park. Tamron, a knight of the summer court, has been sent to Earth to guard a garden of roses that holds special meaning to the queen of the summer fairies. When his distraction at meeting Jeanette leads to her picking one of the summer queen's roses, Tamron vows to right his failure to do his duty. However, the equivalent of one of the queen's roses is a human heart, and Tamron's reluctance to readily exact the sum from Jeanette sets in motion a spiral of love, betrayal, and magic that could mean damnation to them both. So far this book has gotten really positive reviews, and I found it appeals to most people who are part of fandom, specifically those who really like anime or Supernatural or Doctor Who, because Jeanette is also a fangirl. It also appeals, obviously, to people who enjoy fairies or the Ballad of Tamron, and I found that those people who enjoyed reading Julie Kagawa, Maggie Stiefvater, and Melissa Marr have also enjoyed this book. So the excerpt that I'm going to be reading is a couple of chapters into the book, and we're reading from the hero's point of view, so that would be Tamron, who is the knight of the summer court. And this chapter is the chapter where he physically meets Jeanette, our heroine, for the first time, and it may or may not be a good thing. Okay, so here we go. And don't make fun of my man voice, because I have a terrible guy voice when I do these things. Okay. Chapter 8. Tamron. I shift foot to foot on the tree branch and fix my eyes back on Lovely. She's muttering to herself like a crazy woman. Find the path? Get the hell out of here. Path? I straighten and glance around, meeting the eyes of the Fae who drove her here. Large animalistic gazes meet mine, then turn away. Paws and hooves shift in the decaying leaves. The Fae are like children scolded. Enmeyer shrugs and grins fangs at me. I give him a meaningful glare that promises a tongue lashing. The Fae have my leave to play torture humans when they wander off the paths. It's the best way to keep them away from things they shouldn't go near. But it's not fair to hide the paths on purpose to get a human lost, just so they can torture them. Especially when the human ends up wandering here. This is supposed to be a secret place. Humans shouldn't be here. Roxelle isn't going to like this. I hold my hand up, making sure the Fae understand that they're not to touch the human anymore. They've already done enough damage by chasing her here. Lovely stands from removing her stockings, making light bounce off of the thick chestnut hair that flows soft and silky around her shoulders and cascades down her back. I assume she had it plaited at one point, she normally does, but either by the machinations of the Fae or some daring twig, she lost the green ribbon she normally wears. Enmeyer, knowing my fondness for this particular neighbor, has surrendered it to me. I have the smooth expanse of ribbon wrapped around my hand. I slide the ribbon over my lip. I like the way the silk feels on my skin, how the cocoa and cinnamon scent of her is trapped in my souvenir. I like that the ribbon echoes the essence of her tresses. It's a tease, making me want to touch her hair. She pivots on her toes, and the late afternoon light cuts angular swaths across her pronounced cheekbones, her delicate jawline, and her perfect eyebrows. They remind me of a bird in flight. She pivots again, and the light catches the angle of her slightly aquiline nose and the full set of her rosy lips. Her mossy green eyes twinkle with golden leopard spots behind her spectacles. Her pale chest heaves in panic beneath her white shirt. Her long, muscular legs quiver so badly that the pleats of her skirt sway. She's pretty for a human. I've always thought so, but now that I see her close up, I know for certain. And there's a compelling familiarity about her. But I don't doubt that. Roxelle says the minds of our kind, especially when we move between worlds like I do, fog quite easily. The reason is the difference in how time passes. In Otherworld, time moves quickly. One day on Earth is close to a week in Otherworld, but we don't age past maturity. I don't understand why the hours tick by differently or why we don't age. I dare say I'm centuries old, but don't look much older than lovely. Another reason for the mind fog is that moving between worlds addles the brain and plays tricks on time memory. Yesterday seems like 3 years ago, while 10 years ago seems like now. I know this girl from my morning rounds. This I know to be true. The familiarity must come from the time memory confusion. She's familiar to me like all the people who are my neighbors are. I run my fingers over the ribbon, glad this particular neighbor finally decided to come for a visit, even if it took the fairies chasing her here to do it. Normally, I only ask pretty visitors for a trinket, but she's already given me a souvenir, so I'll ask for a favor instead. A kiss. And then, I'll ask for more. I want more from her. I'd like to touch her flawless, angelic skin. I'd like to wrap my fist around her hair, tug on it ever so gently, exposing that long swan neck of hers. I've had a long time to add to the list of things that I want from Lovely. She's been teasing me for years, living at the edge of my forest but never coming in, and I think my requests are fair. She spins around again and again like an animal caught, so fast that her skirt flits around her waist, and I'm disappointed to find, instead of the colorful string-like undergarments I'm used to when mortal girls visit me, she's wearing shorts. Oh well, I'm sure they'll come off just as easily. Besides, the modest undergarment gives her an air of mystery that makes her more alluring. I slip down the oak and kneel behind the trunk of a white pine. She stopped spinning and is now pacing forward, her eyes scanning the ground like she's looking for something. Then she stops, and I see what she sees. Everything inside of me freezes solid. I fight to breathe. I fight to stop her, but I can't move. She steps forward and crouches in front of Roxelle's precious jewels. No, don't touch the roses. She reaches out, and her fingers delicately trace the deep red petals of the tallest, most beautiful rose. A delicious shiver dances up my spine. The look on her face is enough to shock my heart back into beating, and I draw in an awed breath. She's so beatific and enwrapped that I'm entranced by her pleasure. I never knew a woman could look at something with such innocent, unbridled pleasure. Her eyes go liquid, and her cheeks flush a shade pinker. Her warmth spreads through my veins like a summer's breeze. Her lips part, ever so slightly, like she's expecting a kiss, one that I'm more than willing to give. And then I hear it. Snap. I blink, and my eyes trace the smooth length of her arm. She's got the rose's stem in her hand, but the stem no longer reaches into the ground. Inch by inch, the space between the flower and the dirt grows, until Lovely has the petals against her soft lips, and, eyes closed, savors the scent of the Fairy Queen's sacred bloom. For a moment, the simple act sends a primal ripple of pleasure slithering over my skin. But then my mind takes hold, and my heart gallops wild, fear eating my intestines like a rabid wolf. What is Roxelle going to do to me? I'm to protect her roses. That's why she sent me to patrol Carver Hall Park. What will I do? She's going to kill me. Suddenly, I'm filled with hatred for this tantalizing but destructive human girl. She couldn't appreciate the beauty before her. She had to destroy it. Why should I die on account of her folly? Before I realize what I'm doing, I let out a roar and leap through the underbrush. I grasp her by her treacherous hand and throw her to the ground and hold her there. "What have you done?" I demand, knowing full well the implications of what I'm asking. "How dare you come to this place? How dare you pick a rose? How dare you break its stem? Do you not understand that you must ask leave of me?" Lovely's fingers loosen around the rose as terror slackens her muscles. Those fey green eyes chase her crimson sin as it falls to the ground. Then she stares at me, as if she can't believe that I'm real. I tighten my grasp, drawing her attention to my hand shackled around her wrist, reassuring her that I am no dream. "Speak up." Her lips tremble as her gaze widens on me. Her throat bobs hard before speaking. This land isn't yours. It's under my father's care. He's the principal of Mary Magda. I can pick a rose whenever I like. I don't need to ask your permission." So close, her voice is like a folded melody that purrs over my skin and tickles my nerve endings. There's something calming about that voice, something that makes me want to breathe a sigh of relief. Like a weight lifted. The muscles in my shoulders relax, and my grip on her wrists weakens. My fingers stroke her delicate skin. I shouldn't want to rub my fingers along the pulse in her wrist, but the urge seems so natural, like an assertion that she's as real as I am. Lovely gazes at my hand, and her breath catches like I've somehow wronged her. Her eyes flash back to me, with wild and alive. She wrenches herself out of my grip and struggles away, backing until she's flush with the tree. "Who are you?" she demands. I cock my head and give her a disbelieving look. Who does this upstart maid think she is? The Queen of the Fae? Certainly not. I don't have to answer her demands, so I don't. Her attention flies around the glade, as if searching for escape or a weapon. Then she speaks again, and her tone is cautious and certain. "You're that green man everyone's talking about, aren't you?" I toss a dramatic glance at my arm. I am rather green. Roxelle's magic does do that to me, protects me, gives me strength. None of the ladies before this one bothered to complain. Her voice hiccups with fear as she says, What do you want from me?" I give her my best angry look, even though I can't seem to stay as mad with her as I have a right to be. I use my words instead, trying to make my voice sound sharp as obsidian. "Do you have any idea what you've done? What you've cost me?" She purses her lips and looks down at the rose. It's just a wild rose. My anger flares again, and in the next moment I've got my knife to her pale swan-like neck. The tendons in her neck strain, and her throat wobbles in fear. What are you doing?" she squeaks. "Just a rose, just a pretty maiden's head. I'd say they're equal." My hand is shaking. Normally I have a steady, precise hand. It's not like I haven't slit a throat before. I squeeze the hilt until my muscles lock and my knuckles go white. A scoff escapes her throat. "Are you crazy?" Her voice is shrill, the only indication of her fear, because her face is now strong. She's a good actress. Smirking, I press the knife a little harder against her fair flesh. I won't cut her. It would be a sin to mar such lovely flesh, or to punish such bravery. When faced with my knife, most people beg and cry. This girl wants to know if I'm crazy. You could grow to like a girl like that. "Okay," she breathes. "It's some kind of rare, expensive rose. I get it." Though her face is cool, she sounds half hysterical. I can almost see her brain working her out of this. I'll pay you back for it. Just let me go to my house and..." "You're trying to run away." I cut in, pressing the knife harder to her throat until she's practically molded against the tree. "You must repay the damages you've done." "But how? With what? I can't even guess at how valuable that rose is." "That's why you have to let me go back," the girl reasons. I shake my head. "No, your mortal coin does nothing for me." She closes her eyes and sucks in so much air that her breast grazes my arm. "What do you want for it?" There's an ominous tone to her voice, as if she hates that she's even asking. Good question. One that I don't have an answer to. All at once my anger collapses under the weight of my uncertainty. What can I do to make up for this? Pulling away, I sheathe my dagger. My eyes find the rose, red as blood against the dark moss and decaying leaves of the forest floor. I gingerly pick it up. Such a perfect rose. Perhaps the most immaculate rose ever created. It's understandable that it caught the girl's fancy. I can't imagine why I never noticed it before. But then, Jeanette has a way of making even the stupidest things seem important. I straighten. Where had that thought come from? I look back at Lovely. She's staring at me intently, like she expects me to pull my knife on her again. Jeanette? Is that her name? Perhaps I heard that man she lives with. Her father, I think. Call her that. Out of the corner of my eye, one of the brilliant red rose petals falls off of the head with a tiny click, as if plucked by an invisible hand. The girl's eyes follow the petal as it skims to the ground, weighted and calculating, like the petal means the world. I can't help but stare at it, too, like a tiny version of the rose, blood on the dying earth. The rose is already fading, already losing life, and it's my fault. Suddenly overcome with terror at the thought of the petal being alone and lost on the ground, I suck in a breath and scoop it off the ground. It's warm against my palm, as if sitting against flesh for quite some time. I slip it into the empty pouch on my belt, and when I look up, she's running away. So that is For Your Heart by L Davroe, which is me. This book's available on Amazon as both Kindle edition and print edition. And if you want it autographed, I do have a Kindlegraph account set up, so you can request an autograph for your Kindle, or you can show up at any of the events that I will be at throughout the year. I keep them posted on my website, www.aldavroe.com. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the book. Thanks, guys!